Hi, I am Zoe Licata, reporter for Brewbound, and I am here with one of our rising stars, here with Wilson Craig, the founder of Waterbird Spirits in Charlottesville, Virginia. Hi, Wilson.
Hey, Zoe, thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you for joining me and congratulations on your Rising Star Award. Really excited to chat with you and get to know a little bit more about Waterbird Spirits today. I think the best place for us to start is kind of give us an insight into what your 2022 looked like for Waterbird.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're Waterbird Spirits, started in 2019 in Charlottesville, Virginia. We've been growing, started in one county in Virginia. This year, we're going to be in over 45 states. So growing like crazy, building out our team, bringing on Jim DiTullio, our VP of Sales, bringing on Drew Hinnigan, our VP of National Accounts, and bringing a sales team in market. Really, really excited. Launched one of the first spirits-based 24-ounce cans in resealable format. So we're very, very excited for finishing out 2022 strong and then really kicking off 2023 with a bang.
That's awesome. So you guys make spirits-based, ready-to-drink canned cocktails. What is it like being in that increasingly competitive and becoming more crowded space?
Well, it's awesome. We love spirits-based RTDs. It's our sole focus. Some of our competitors do malt or sugar bases as well as spirits-based RTDs. We believe in quality products, and we think that's a differentiator. Roughly, according to Nielsen, about 30% of the ready-to-drink spirits-based sales are authentic brands, and so we think that's our sweet spot. We think the younger drinker really wants to identify with a brand, and that's exactly where we are. It's amazing, and to see more people get into the space is just a sign of unbelievable growth. Categories up 72% through September, so we think that's a great sign, and we're looking forward to more continued growth.
So as you mentioned, you guys have had on your own have had extreme growth over the past couple of years. It was 600% growth last year and aiming to do more than that this year. What do you credit with that such rapid growth?
Well, we really believe in making spirits-based RTDs and selling and merchandising through the beer network. A lot of our competitors have gone through wine and beer wholesalers. We think that's a huge differentiator. But end of the day, it's one thing and one thing only, which is the quality of our product. We think that's why we have organic repeat buys, and that's something we stand behind. So we're really, really proud of our product. But it's an incredibly exciting time, and we think if we want to continue to grow like we have, we're going to have to continue to innovate. I think that's the standard nowadays with, as you said, more people getting in the category. So we're very excited.
Mm-hmm. I want to get into your guys' strategy with beer distributors in a second. But first, I want to talk about, since you brought up innovation, you guys brought out this year a 24-ounce single serve can that has a resealable top. What was the motivation there? Why did you guys want to bring that to market?
Absolutely. So we think beer distributors are better in small format. We think not only do they understand it, but they visit small format more and see stores more. So we think that's a competitive advantage. In order to get into this single serve business, we had to do a resealable top per TTB standards of fill rules and regulations. So 700 milliliters just so happens to be 24 ounces. And we started working with a company over in Germany called XO, who has a resealable top, and it's an amazing technology. We think it's really the future of beverage. And the only reason it hasn't been adopted in the US is because it hadn't had a use case. And so we think this is a perfect use case, not only for our spirits-based RTDs, but these resealable tops. If you're going hiking or you're going to the beach, you don't have to drink everything at once. You can enjoy it throughout the day. It keeps that carbonation. So something we're really excited to continue to innovate with. We've got two more products coming out this spring and going into some massive chain retailers. And then we also have some more innovations later this year, which we're really excited for.
You spoke with my colleague Justin Fonte earlier this year when these launched, and you described this as not a cliche innovation. This is actually like meeting a need. How would you describe like the landscape of innovation in beer and beyond right now and how that word has kind of morphed?
Absolutely. And so, one thing we get a lot is why resealable. And one thing we always like to stress is, this isn't like, like a vortex top or something that, in the past people used to maybe sell a few extra cases. This is true innovation, a totally new use case. So we think innovation's always, used, but true innovation doesn't wait up for anyone. And that's something we believe in. And that's why we think we're in an amazing position with our beer wholesalers to capture not only the single serve business, but also, the keg business in a couple of years as well, once we get that law changed. So innovation's always used. You hear it on virtually every earnings call, but true innovation doesn't hold up for anyone. And also it's not just exclusive to big suppliers, suppliers like ourselves can innovate and really, really grow like crazy. And so that's what we've been doing.
Mm-hmm. So, like you mentioned, you guys use primarily beer wholesalers. It seems almost counterintuitive to some because RTDs are seen as almost like a threat to beer. Why is that something that's so important to you guys, and why does it give that what you call the competitive advantage?
What's awesome, Zoe, is, I think a lot of people in the past thought spirits were a threat to beer, but look, our interests are perfectly aligned with beer wholesalers. Not only do we think beer wholesalers are better, but we think our product also gives them more profit than the average case of beer. And that's an amazing, amazing position to be in. So we think it's not either or. Beer distributors are better, and they're turning every single day into beverage wholesalers. Later this year and earlier next year, we're testing out our bottled spirits. We're actually distributing those through a lot of traditional beer wholesalers. So we're very, very excited. Beer wholesalers are better. And quite frankly, I don't think there's a supplier in the U.S. whose interests are more perfectly aligned with the beer network than us at Waterbird. And we really, really value that. So we work with some of the biggest and best beer wholesalers across the U.S., from Reyes to Columbia. We're really, really excited.
So something that you've talked about in the past is your excitement for future opportunities with pre-mixed draft cocktails, which kind of have some legal blockers right now. How do you envision that coming to fruition in the future?
We're really excited. And just like the single serve business, it actually originated in for the Scotch whiskeys made in Japan, who were producing a 700 milliliter bottle. And so the TTB adjusted the standards of fill to match the Scotch whiskeys. Never, I don't think the TTB wanted to, or was thinking rather, about getting into single serve RTD cocktails. So innovation really, really allows us to get in and do a single serve cocktail because we want to drive the business for us and our wholesalers. So I think the same thing about spirits-based RTDs being on tap. And one thing I really want to emphasize is we're not looking to take over bartenders. That's not what it's about. It's at those high volume bars and restaurants. Not only is it more consistent for the drinker, a consistent pour where you don't know if there's going to be 5% alcohol or 50% alcohol, depending on how much coffee the bartender's had. But if you're a bar owner, it's an amazing, amazing way to fix your costs. So I think that's a really challenging thing. You look at a state like Virginia, there's virtually no way for a bar owner to fix their costs with a bottle and a mixer. And that's really challenging as a business owner. So not only do we think it makes sense for the consumer, we also think it makes sense for the bar owner, and it's a no-brainer. Obviously, our beer distributors are excellent at handling cooperage, merchandising and selling kegs as well. So we think that's a huge opportunity. And add on the fact that this is where the drinker's going. Spirits are really, really exploding in growth. And we think it's a win-win for virtually everyone.
So you mentioned at the top of this that, you're dealing with a space that's not just spirits-based RTDs. You also are having those malt and sugar-based competitions out there. How do you navigate marketing to a consumer when you are having to deal with kind of these other forms of RTDs out there?
I think that's an awesome question, Zoe. And I don't think it's ever been more blurry than now. You've got a lot of producers out there that are trying to blur the lines, maybe between wine, malt, spirits, and RTD in unto itself is kind of a term that a lot of people didn't even understand until 6 to 9 months ago, and me included. And I think there were a lot included in that term. So really focusing on what RTD means, I think is really, really important. But the consumer is the number one most important person. Right now, they're voting with their dollar overwhelmingly in spirits-based RTDs over malt and the wine-based stuff. So we think that's really, really important. And it's, again, really important to educate the consumer, not only that we're a higher quality product, real spirits, real juice, but also the difference between us and the wine, and malt-based and sugar-based stuff. We think that's really, really critical. I think, our price point too, certainly, us and the other spirits-based RTD competitors we have is higher. And I think also the consumer starting to make that connection. Often price and quality are correlated, and they certainly are in our case.
The reason why we're having this conversation is because you guys are a rising star. So you've obviously been doing something right in the past couple of years. Is there a piece of advice that you could give to entrepreneurs who are entering this space? Something that you have learned over these past few years, or anything that they really need to know before entering?
Of course. Well, a little bit of like a personal reflection. I was in Santa Monica at the Brewbound Live conference in, I think, 2019, right before COVID hit, looking at the stage, being like, that's amazing. Looking at the rising stars, 3 years ago, being like, that's so cool. I really, really want to envision myself there and my company there. So I think, if you're an entrepreneur and you're going to these conferences and you're looking at all these brands, it's like, you can do it. I mean, I say that to everyone. It's like, it's a competitive industry, but it's competitive for good reason. It's because the consumer loves this industry. It's an amazing industry with great people. The connections are unbelievable. You get to meet fantastic people. So I think if I had one piece of advice is envision yourself up there and keep rocking. Don't listen to anyone. Really, really focus on what you're passionate about, and you're going to be there. So it's really cool to kind of look back and see us 2019 looking at the stage, and then now being honored as a rising star, which is a huge honor.
That's so awesome to see. I mean, obviously it works. You're here, so
Right.
that's great.
It's really cool too. We went 3 years ago, and obviously right before COVID, a couple months before COVID. So to get to meet folks, interact, not just in your category, spirits-based RTDs, but maybe in hard kombucha, non-alc, you learn a ton. And I think each conversation is valuable. I went into a lot of conversations not knowing and coming out with more information, which I think is critical.
I'll end this with just let us know. You've mentioned on a little bit, but what can we expect from Waterbird in 2023?
Yeah, you can expect a lot of focus on 24 ounce. We think that's where the category is really going. We have an amazing group of retailers, big retailers, national retailers that have gotten behind Waterbird and our innovation. So you can expect more innovation in our single serve cans, which is absolutely awesome. But as well as we're coming out with 2 8-packs, which is unbelievable. And we've got a couple of exciting innovations up our sleeve as well. So it's going to be an exciting year. Going to be a very, very busy year, but 2023 is going to be an amazing, amazing year.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Wilson, and congratulations on being a rising star.
Thank you so much, Zoe. And we look forward to seeing you all shortly for the awards.